Hey everybody, it's Dr. Kadisha. Starting a live stream. I just want to wait for people to come on in the room. There's something I really want to share with you guys today. I'm really excited about it. And I have some things that I want you guys to do. Some things that you need to do. I know it's lunchtime, so just want to give it a few seconds. Okay, I don't want anyone to miss out on this important information. I couldn't help but do this topic. January is not Hypertension Awareness Month, but hypertension is a life threat to millions of us every day. So I just want to make sure as many people are here for this as possible. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well we will get started. We'll get started. So hi there again. I'm Dr. Kadisha, your board certified emergency medicine physician and entertainment industry mobile MD, here to talk with you about hypertension, especially undiagnosed hypertension. And I want to impart some new information to you that you might not know about what the new normal is. Well, it's not new anymore, but what the new normal blood pressure is, at least as of 2003. And I'm bringing this to you today because I've seen a number of patients in the emergency room lately for various reasons, from sprained ankles, skinned knees, to pneumonia, neck spasms, to cut fingers, to boils, who denied having a history of high blood pressure, but who had blood pressures of like 180 to the 200s to over the 110s to 120s. And it was a reminder for me. I mean, this is like in my face. So I had to bring it to you guys in case there's some of my family, friends, and fan page members who could be going through the same thing. Because high blood pressure, aka the pressure, aka hypertension, is a leading cause of heart disease, the #1 killer in the United States, and it's a leading cause of stroke, which is the #4 killer in the United States. So hypertension contributes to the top cause of death in the U.S. and the #4 cause of death in the U.S. And it also raises the risk for heart failure and kidney failure. And kidney failure means dialysis. Okay? 1 in 3 adults here in the U.S., and that's about 70 million of us, has hypertension, and half of us don't have it under control. Most people, and what was shocking to me in my recent research, most people have health insurance. I assumed that people just weren't insured, and so they weren't going to the doctor for that reason. And if you don't have health insurance, you do have options. Your city or county health clinics are there just for you. But yeah, most people with uncontrolled or undiagnosed high blood pressure don't have health insurance. And they even may see their doctor twice a year, but they remain undiagnosed. And I know personally as a physician, when when a patient comes in and their blood pressure is elevated, I'll say, well, you told me you didn't have high blood pressure. And they'll say, well, I don't. My blood pressure is just elevated when I'm in the doctor's office. And it's like, we call that white coat hypertension. So, elevated blood pressure at the site of a doctor's white coat. But it really makes me wonder as a physician, just how accurate that might be. Because if you're not taking your blood pressure, twice a day, and I'll discuss that later, on your own at home, how do you really know that it's just because you're in the emergency department or just because you're uncomfortable? Being in the ER, I see people when they have the worst case scenarios of a lot of different conditions. And so naturally that's going to raise their blood pressure. So the ER isn't always the best place to, to get, to diagnose high blood pressure. But anyway, so what is blood pressure? Blood pressure is it's defined in two parts. There's that top number, which is called the systolic blood pressure, and the bottom number, which is the diastolic blood pressure. And the systolic blood pressure is, that's the amount of pressure that your blood is exerting against the walls of your arteries. And the walls of your arteries are very muscular. That's the pressure that the heart is exerting to push your blood through your blood vessels. Okay? So it's the pressure of the blood that exerted on the walls of the arteries when the heart beats. That's the top number. That's the diastolic blood pressure. The bottom number is the amount of pressure your blood is exerting against the walls of your arteries while your heart rests between beats. So what is the new normal? Okay, we always would say, well, 120 is, hey, Dr. Andrea, thank you for coming in. Thank you so much. So what's the new normal with blood pressure? And like I said, it's not really new. It's not really new. We always say, oh, my blood pressure is typically 120 over 80. I grew up hearing that normal blood pressure was 120 over 80. Well, early in 2003, 16 years ago, the American Heart Association and other associations that are the authorities on cardiovascular disease determined that that is not necessarily an ideal blood pressure. So while we grew up hearing 120 over 80 as being normal, now that's not the case. Normal is less than 120 over 80. So like 116 over 70 is more of is considered more normal. Elevated blood pressure now is 120 to 129 over less than 80 millimeters of mercury, and those are the units in which blood pressure is measured. So now stage 1 hypertension is 130 to 139 over 80 to 89 millimeters of mercury. And at this level, diet and lifestyle changes are recommended, yes, and medication might be considered. Medication might be considered by your doctor. And I remember when I was in med school, like 140 over 90 was the cutoff. Like that was the new abnormal for blood pressure, and like the 130s over 180s was considered borderline. And they would just say, well, try diet and lifestyle changes. Well, now, no. Now from 130s over 80s, medication might actually be considered. And then another thing is, if you come from a family that has a history of heart disease and stroke, especially at a young age. Heart attacks, especially immediate relatives in their 50s, you may be considered high risk. So that's stage 1 hypertension in the 140s to over like 90s. 130s over 80s. I'm still getting used to it. Stage 2 is 140 over 90 or higher. And at this level, you are likely to be prescribed medication in addition to being advised lifestyle changes. And it's crazy. I mean, I had a girl who was 28 years old, and she had fell and skinned her knees, and her blood pressure was in the 200s over 110s. And she was already on, she had already been prescribed blood pressure medication. And I said, well, do you have it on you, or are you going to take it? And she goes, I've just been inconsistent with taking the pills. Like she had no excuse. She goes, I've just been inconsistent. And I'm thinking, why would you do this? But I know why, because hypertension is painless. It's painless until it's too late. You can go for years with blood pressure through the roof, and it might not make itself known to you until you have a stroke or start developing heart failure. So that's why there's so much talk about hypertension. Okay, so how do you officially diagnose hypertension? How would you officially do that? Like I said, in the emergency department, when you're in a lot of pain, or you're stressed or having anxiety or something like that, that's not the ideal place to tell someone that they're hypertensive. Now, if their blood pressure is significantly high, like this young lady who had like the 200 over 110 blood pressure, we're gonna want to give you we want to strongly consider giving you blood pressure medication. So the best way to officially get that diagnosis of high blood pressure is to have 3 abnormal readings at least a week apart, done at least a week apart. And to improve or to get a better, more accurate assessment of what your blood pressure is would also include measuring your blood pressure at home. You can get a blood pressure monitor, or a blood pressure kit at most of your drugstores. And what would really be good to do, and I know it's asking a lot, but taking that over to your primary care doctor's office to have it take your blood pressure with your home monitor, your home kit, and then having your blood pressure taken by the equipment in your doctor's office to see if it's accurate. Because if your blood pressure cuff is too small or something like that, it can give you falsely elevated blood pressures, which can lead to anxiety, which can lead to high blood pressure, which can lead to anxiety, which can lead to high blood pressure. It's like a vicious cycle. And it's crazy how those two just can go back and forth if you have a poor blood pressure monitor that you're using to take your blood pressure every day. I have patients come in with notebooks full of blood pressures, and they say they took their blood pressure, it was 140 over 90, and they're like, oh goodness, my blood pressure is usually not that high. Then they take it again and it's 145 over 95 because they were worried about it being being 140 over 90. Anyway, so taking your blood pressure at home can help eliminate the white coat hypertension factor, which is probably one big reason why so much hypertension is going undiagnosed. Both the patient and the doctor in those situations can assume that the person's blood pressure is elevated simply because they're in the doctor's office. So that's why it's great to do it at home. So you take your blood pressure at home twice a day, every day, around the same times. And you do that, say, like in the morning, definitely in the morning, not right when you get up, but before you eat. So, take your blood pressure before you eat or drink anything, before you take any medications in the morning, and then take your blood pressure again in the evening, and also before you eat. Okay, so, and it isn't just genetics that can cause high blood pressure, and it's not just eating salty foods or, just bad foods that can cause high blood pressure. And I'm just telling you this because there are things that you can do in the meantime to lower your risk of blood pressure. Okay, even in the face of genetics or, that salty, chicken sandwich that you just had for lunch. Okay, so limiting your smoking and limiting your drinking or cutting both down altogether can also help lower your blood pressure. So back to the diet and the lifestyle. So there are foods that you can eat to help lower your blood pressure, and it's not just bananas. Other high potassium foods include tomatoes, oranges. Other foods that are advised for better blood pressure control include leafy greens, berries, especially blueberries, fish like salmon and mackerel and other fish that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, garlic, seeds like sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds, and pistachio nuts. And I'm sure there are other foods that you can probably look up online to see about better dietary steps you can take to control your blood pressure. So I didn't want to take up too much time. I just wanted to let you know that hypertension is symptomless until it's too late. Your elevated blood pressure could be manifested by more headaches, some dizziness, things like that. It could be as simple as that right now, and your blood pressure could be 180 over 110. And so we really want to get on top of that, because even though we feel fine, that blood pressure is slowly doing damage to our arteries, those arteries that provide nutrients and oxygen by way of the blood to our brain, our heart, our kidneys, our feet, and everything. So again, check that blood pressure, check it twice a day at home. Same time every day, and please get a good primary care doctor so that you can really get on top of this. Again, I'm Dr. Kadisha, your board certified emergency medicine physician. Please follow me at DrKadishamd on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a great day.